Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Belmont Bunch. This week, we are doing the same thing we've done in the previous weeks, but about the current games. So, Tom.
Oh, with a twist. Wait to see the twist.
Yeah.
This is like verbal clickbait. There's no twist. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. That being said, I am Tom. I'm going to talk about this week's games. So we had Philly at home, the Rangers at home, and the Rangers also at home. And just speaking generally about the three games, I think the Islanders played 5 minutes that I was proud of out of the whole.
Was it the 5 minutes that they had the 5-minute major in the Philly game where they played so well during that amazing 5-minute major? We got like one shot on net or whatever it was.
Yeah, we managed to turn a 5-minute major into a complete opportunity for the other team to get back in the game. Mm-hmm. So the 5 minutes that I enjoyed, it was the 5 minutes where we scored 2 goals against Philly to start that game.
Oh, so right before the 5-minute major.
Yes. And I don't want to get bogged down in any one game, but since this is the only positive stretch of play, I want to highlight. So we had a goal from Eberle. That was the second goal, and we had Nelson scoring the first. The Isles. Now, think of also the context. This is the first game with Zajac and Palmieri in the lineup, and the Isles responded really well off the bat. They looked great to start this game. Ryan Pulock, who to this point in the season had still not scored a single goal, but he was trying, let me tell you. He had a great play where he rounded the net and then found Brock Nelson for the first goal. And the second goal was a great pass by Leo. So, they were getting contributions from all over the lineup just in the first 5 minutes. You get Zajac going down with what looked like a broken nose when he gets cross-checked into the boards. And it's an opportunity to just see the game out already, like 5 minutes in.
Yeah, like middle of the first period, like you could put this game away.
And you're already running the team out of the building, so it's the perfect opportunity. But this is the scary thing about our power play, and I feel like our power play had, we had one good month in March, I think, where we were like 40%, maybe even February at this point. I don't remember. We had one hot month. And, if the power play is bad, I'll accept it on the condition that it doesn't create chances for the other team going the other way. So in other terms, like if you're just being careful at least. But we're giving up odd man rushes on a 5-minute major where Sorokin had to make a breakaway stop. That's not good. I was very frustrated with basically the last 55 minutes of this game. Well, I guess 60 because they played OT as well. And Sorokin played a really good game. Couldn't really put the goals on him. It was a little bit of puck watching from some of the guys. And Sorokin continues to just be an absolute good hockey player. I couldn't come up with an adjective.
Yeah, you couldn't. And I would say that Hart played well in this game too. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of really good saves. And so like I sometimes don't know what to expect from him because he's, been so, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the right term would be, but you know what I mean? Like he has
inconsistent.
Yeah. But that's and that was, like you said, the first game we had Zajac and Palmieri. They were kind of there. It was their first game. Yeah. No one really expected anything. They had played
no practice.
Didn't they play with New Jersey the night before?
I'm not sure if it was the night before, but they didn't get to get a single practice in.
Yeah, and I think even one of them said like, "Yeah, I was too excited to sleep last night," or like something to that effect. So yeah, totally, everybody was fine with how they played. I think in that game because of that. Yeah, and then moving on. Anything else to say about that game?
Well, not about that game, but I think we should probably address the lineup over the last couple games.
Oh yes, yeah. So we haven't seen everybody's new young star or favorite new young star.
Is that like an MTV movie award?
Yeah.
Everybody's number one, best kisser.
Best kisser in the NHL. Is
it's definitely
Wallstrom.
Crosby.
That's weird.
Kisses refs' asses, am I right? Anyway.
You hear that, Sydney? We're on to you. So,
Yeah.
yes, Oliver
Stop
Wallstrom.
flopping.
He was not in the lineup for the Philly game and then was not in the lineup for the first Rangers game. And I know that we had talked about this a little bit, and you've mentioned pretty much like every week that it's come up. Wallstrom tends to be moved down to the taxi squad between games, and you think it's just some kind of bookkeeping thing. I have no idea, and so I think some people were surprised he wasn't in the game, and for me, at least in the post game show, I got the vibe that Barry was almost like not too happy with his play, or something like that. I know he hasn't been like, I guess, as productive as he was a few weeks ago. But, I mean, still been, in my opinion, pretty fantastic. So, what do you think's happening there?
Yeah, I think that was just I think Arthur Staple had said the Islanders wanted to experiment with the lineup a little bit. They have a lot of depth now. I think, we've forgotten because they've had a couple of injuries that have actually oversimplified the process a little bit the last few games, but they haven't had Dal Cole or Johnston. And Johnston went to the IR, which gave the opportunity to bring Wallstrom back up for the second Ranger game. But I think it was more experimentation and seeing what sticks. I know it's really tough. Trotz is trying to walk a line of getting guys acquainted and playing experimental lineups to figure out what works in the midst of a very, very, very tight battle for seeding. So obviously fans and myself, and I'm going to include myself in that, are going to be a little bit nervous about the lineup decisions every single night because they're exactly tied with the Capitals, I guess, behind on regulation wins, which the Capitals, I think, have 2 more. And they're only 2 points up on Pittsburgh. So every single night, we have somebody just above us and just below us. And the one below us is more important because even as the 2 seed, we have home ice. But we do not want to concede home ice to Pittsburgh in a playoff series. I don't want to play Pittsburgh in a playoff series, but I also absolutely don't want to even think about playing them without having home ice. But I think, I think they're walking a tight line. And I think the fact that they've walked a tight line and still managed to win is impressive, though I would definitely warn that the Islanders did not look impressive in any of these games at all, except for the 5 minutes I mentioned.
Yeah. And so, one other thing you said is when Barry's experimenting with the lines, obviously he wants to get the 2 new players in there and stuff they didn't have any games to practice, like you said. And also, it seems like Lou and Barry, this is probably a trope, they tend to favor the veteran guys. Like they're gonna, like if they have a choice between, I guess, Wallstrom and Palmieri or really anybody, right? Then that's probably what they're gonna go with.
Yeah.
I think if they have a choice between Wallstrom and Komarov, like they're going to Komarov, hands down.
Yeah, I think it killed Barry to take Leo out of the lineup. I think it was the fans loved it, obviously, yes. But this happens with like every coach in the league, I feel like, but every hockey coach falls inexplicably in love with like one of the role guys. And God, do I wish that was like Cizikas. Although, right? they play the 4th line a lot. So I guess in a way he already is like that. But, at the very least, I can't really get super tough on Leo for this past week because, like I said, he had a great assist in the Philly game, and he's done a really good job of like limiting those embarrassing moments.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe that's been on him. Like obviously he's developing the chemistry surprisingly with the first line. Yeah. And maybe he's took it upon himself to like really adapt to their game. And like
it is unfortunate that the one period where we have a ridiculous amount of depth now, and so there's a lot of lineup decisions to make every night. Leo starts to play his best hockey, so it keeps our young star out of the lineup.
Yeah. But that's, and not to try and keep it too specific. So that's basically all I have then for the Flyers games and one Flyer game. And then going to the first Ranger game, was a tough one to watch. You and I were watching the Rangers broadcast for that one, which was made it a lot worse. Made it almost unbearable.
It was pretty bad because I hate the Rangers announcers, and it's not even just like I mean, I have to probably admit there's probably unconscious bias against it as well. But they're also like, look, I'm a Yankee fan, and I don't like the Yankees radio broadcast, and the Rangers TV broadcast reminds me way too much of the Yankees radio broadcast, where it's some people who are way past their prime, and the game is a little too fast for them, which is more embarrassing for baseball because that game doesn't move very fast. Even as a fan of the game, I don't know how that game moves too fast for you as an announcer, but I think it's time for some young blood for the Rangers
to take their spots.
Oh man, Howie Rose did it for years for the Islanders, where he was a Ranger fan calling Islander games. So I'd like to think I could. I'd like to think I could put it aside and give the Rangers the credit when they deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be crazy, right? Like your dream job comes up and it's the team you can't stand the most. But so then just pointing out then some things that happened in the game. Lafreniere, whatever, scored. I remember in the beginning of the season he was like ice cold, and obviously he was brand new to the NHL and stuff. So I think people were calling him a bust in the very beginning of the season. Yeah. Obviously he's not. And then Green scored, and Corey Haber had the funniest tweet, like literally made me laugh out loud. It was, all Andy needed was his friends, because he has his two New Jersey buddies are now on the Islanders team, and he gets his first goal of the season. And then other notes I have about that is about this game, because the only other takeaway really, because the Islanders lost, so it's not important, is that Zibanejad is a pretty cool guy. You know what? I never wanted to admit this, but he's got swag. He's got, I mean, obviously he has amazing hair. Yeah, like
it's the hair, isn't it?
Oh, of course it's the hair. It's 100% the hair. And like, not only that though, he's like, I don't know about, like he'll celebrate whatever a goal and all that stuff, but his facial expressions are very stoic, and that's just cool, And that's so.
You would have loved John Tavares when he was an Islander, because that guy has never shown any emotion.
See, the problem with John Tavares is he's way too good looking. Like, I know that's a weird thing to say, but he's like I don't want to root for that guy. You know what I mean? He seems like he gets everything too easy. Zibanejad is just cool.
Tavares, I mean? He also acts like everything. Hey, at least you can give him that he doesn't over. You know how there's some guys that like over celebrate their goals, and you're like, all right, act like you've been there before. John Tavares is like whole career he's acted like he's scored 500 goals already.
Yep.
Not in a cocky way, by the way. I mean, like in a just a very monotone.
Like he's like, no big deal. Another one.
Yeah. Which I can give credit for. That's kind of cool, I guess.
Well, the one time I remember, I've only ever seen him really like paid attention to him playing when he's been on the Leafs. The one time I saw him really excited is when they almost tied the game with the Islanders last season. It was like 2 minutes left in the third period, and they were down by 2 or down by 3 or whatever.
Oh, I was at
scored
that game.
2. Yeah, I remember us talking about this. Tavares was. Somehow we always end up talking about Tavares. He was so happy that he got the Leafs within one. His one of his first, not his first time back at the Coliseum, but
one of the the third time.
The third. It's an important time. It's the third time.
Yeah, it was the first time of the second season.
Exactly. And so, but anyway, so he hates the Islanders, confirmed, and he's not cool. Like
I don't know if he hates anything. I don't know if he feels anything.
Anyway.
Nothing scares me, but that man, he scares me.
Yeah. That cold, dead look in his eyes when he scores a goal. So, that's all I really have to say about the Rangers loss. It was a hard game to watch. I felt like it was, I can't remember, the goals came, they scored 2 in the second. So it was 2-1 going into the third. So we still had a chance. And then the third just put it away.
The Rangers deserved it. And this one, I was going to say, hey, Sorokin won both games this week and Varley lost the one. Is the goal shifting? But I don't think that's exactly fair, more so just because the Islanders, I don't know. They didn't have it. They just didn't have it.
I didn't think there was the goaltending that kept us out of that game. One other thing I did want to say is, an obvious fact, Georgiev continues to play unreasonably well against the Islanders.
Yeah,
he had a few big saves.
It's getting kind of out of hand. Thank God they started. Even though Shesterkin played great in the second game, there's just like a rule where the Islanders they will beat the Rangers starter, but they will not beat the Ranger backup.
And actually, then going into the second game that we played against the Rangers, so the third game of the week, we, like you said, we played Shesterkin, and what was I going to say? That apparently that was the first time in Isles history, if I heard the announcers correctly, that we beat the Rangers ever in overtime. Which I would find
first time in the regular season.
So we've only done it in the playoffs.
At home.
At home. Okay. There's
a few caveats to that.
Okay, yeah. First time in the regular season at home that we beat the Islanders in overtime. That's still actually pretty crazy.
That we beat the Rangers.
What did I say? Beat the Islanders?
Yes.
That's because we didn't beat ourselves. And
you're right.
Yeah, that's right. So, just a weird statistic there.
Yeah.
But anything that you want to say about the first Rangers game or the second?
Yeah, I think the first one, the Rangers just skated better, and I think I don't like to fall back on the excuse that it was the Islanders' second game in 2 nights. But again, I think there's still I think the lineup is still solidifying itself with Zajac and Palmieri a little bit, and I think it was a combination of the Rangers playing really well, the Islanders being out of sorts and tired, and having a new lineup. It was a bunch of different things that, and then in the second game on Sunday, that was not a great Islander effort. The Rangers probably should have won. We got, a 2-goal lead, from the get-go. I should, amend my statement from earlier where we only played 5 good minutes. We played a pretty decent first period of the second Ranger game. But then I think the reason I forgot about it is because we played equally as terrible in the second period.
Mm-hmm.
So we gave away, the lead basically gave everything back, every piece of momentum, the lead, everything back to the Rangers.
Yeah. We also had our first goal, I think, was a power play goal. From Palmieri?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was Palmieri kind of just
power play
jabbed
goal.
One in.
And so that was like, oh my God, we got a power play goal. And then we had, I think, 2 or 3 other power plays for the rest of the game, and they were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like
it's
atrocious.
So
like I was embarrassed. And we had a lot of icings in the game too. And a lot of them probably came more in the second period. The third period, it was, I guess, more of equalness. I mean, there's no goals in the third period at all. So, like a lot of icings, like consecutive icings. The one thing I will say about that game is Mayfield, I think, played well. I don't remember any terrible things that he did in the game, but he had on our power play. I think it was on our power play when we allowed a few a few rushes from the Rangers.
Chances.
Same thing, man. Come on, hockey. Yeah. Anyway, Mayfield, I'm pretty sure, was the one that had some good defensive positioning. It might not have been on the power play. I don't remember, but yeah. But anyway, totally agree with you. First period was really good. Second period, tough to watch. And our power play was terrible. Yeah, and
Pajot getting his 12th of the year to that going back to the end of the first made me, probably when it happens, immediately you jump to conclusions. But there was an amazing line rush with Barzal drop passing it to Eberle, who then slid it across to Pajot. And I just thought of what if that was our first line? Because I feel like we've had issues on the first line recently where they haven't been as good. And what if we gave Pajot to the first line? Obviously, we have so many centers that, having Zajac now, maybe you could have, in that scenario, Zajac center the third line and have Wahlstrom still on the third. You could have Palmieri on the third, because Palmieri and Wahlstrom seem to be good on a line together. But I think it's probably a better point that I just got caught up in the moment, and Pajot being on the third line is just a really good fit. So
yeah, I mean, but it is exciting. I mean, I think you pointed out a few weeks ago, ideal first line was, Barzal, Bo, and Wallstrom.
Yeah, I'd like to see that future, at some point. Yeah,
and so it's almost like they're teasing us a little bit, with like all these possible, like we have all the talent, but we're spreading it out, rather than.
Which is, it's I can't argue too much. It's worked pretty well, and if you look at the goal totals, you have one player on each line with at least 10 goals. You have Pajot on the third has 12. You have Brock has, I think, 15, and Eberle has like 14. So, hey, if you're getting depth scoring like that, you're probably doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think and to what you said, you're like mixing up the other team's defense because they can't key in on one line.
Absolutely, exactly. And the important thing, it's not that important, but I think I'm going to mention anyway. Polak did happen to get his first goal of the season. I don't remember it being that important. Just it did happen.
Yeah,
Finally got that monkey off his back.
Yeah. He just compiled onto a huge 2-2 tie
to
make it.
That's all it was.
Yeah. Obviously, that's a huge goal for him. Really excited. He was obviously like stoked.
Yeah, he was. He went. I love that gift. If I can find it, I'll throw it in the video. But he's like he obviously hits the glass, and there's like the camera guy right behind the barrier. Shesterkin was, and like that actually must have been cool to see that.
But. Well, actually, funny story. He wasn't actually pumped. That guy just owes him money. Intimidating.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I think probably the part of this play that might get a little forgotten is that the Islanders reverse something that the Rangers were able to do when the Rangers succeed against the Islanders, which is I think the Rangers are a bit of a quicker team than the Islanders, and when they're able to bog the Islanders down in their own zone by forechecking, it creates chances. It creates icings from the Islanders. It creates chances back in the opposite zone. And the Islanders switched that up for once, got a good forecheck. A little bit fortunate because I think there was some miscommunication with the two of the Ranger players because they won the faceoff and they lost the puck because Zajac got in the forecheck, created the opening for Barzal to take the puck, threw it across the ice, and we win. So Zajac was an integral part of the game winner in that chance.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop for 1 second. My cat is howling. I want to bring my cat in here for 2 seconds for the video.
Go for it.
He howls when he wants water.
Okay.
And it's annoying.
Go for it.
You piece of shit. Get over here.
I'll put in the Islanders.
Look at the camera.
Hi, Stripes. And we're back. So now after discussing Polak's amazing OT winner, which was partially set up or largely set up by Zajac, let's talk about hot or not of the week, and also address Zajac and Palmieri. Why don't you go first, Tom?
Sure. Like I said earlier, I think expectations have to be kept in check or had to be kept in check for those 3 games because very little time for practice because you had a game literally the night after they acquired them. And then you had a back-to-back. You had a back-to-back. There was not much time to get. I think they probably didn't even have a practice that whole week with the 2 new players. So now it's perfect that they've had a few days off because now for the 2 Boston games they should be a little bit more acquainted with the system. But considering how I don't think either of them did anything bad. Travis Zajac is proving to be a good face-off guy, which is part of the reason
really good
that he was guy. Yeah, part of the reason he was thrown into that trade. Just even if he, let's say hypothetically, Wallstrom and Leo both beat him out of the lineup. Although I'm not sure that's going to happen because if Zajac is this good on face-offs, they're always going to need him for something. But hypothetically, even if he was out, having that ace in the hole for if somebody gets hurt is part of the reason that you negotiate to. It might look weird as a toss-in to the trade, because I'm sure some fans were like, Travis Zajac, isn't he like 35? Yeah, he is, but he's also still good at faceoffs. So, and I think also from an intangible perspective, they're trying to make up a little bit for losing Anders Lee in the locker room. You get somebody that has leadership skills, and hey, we've already traded for the rest of the Devils, so why not catch them all? And I'm sure that's good for team chemistry. You're getting guys that some of the veterans know. And in terms of on the ice, I think Palmieri looked pretty decent, and Zajac also pretty good. Helping to create that goal. And that was with very little time to prepare for. So I'm pretty impressed for the first 3 games.
Yeah, I would completely agree.
Not blown away, but impressed.
I would same exact page. I would say I don't know why. I might just be biased because I think I was a little bit more impressed by Palmieri. I mean, obviously, I guess he was the bigger acquirer. But I mean, yeah, he had that goal, the power play goal in the Rangers game. That's when I was like, okay, like even though it's not his first goal of the season, I was like, he's already has enough chemistry within 3 games, to score. Maybe that's normal. I don't know, but I thought it was almost a relief. But then, so yeah, definitely happy so far with both of them. And I would also guess that they might be good for consistency. I don't know how they are normally, but I would like some of our players can be streaky. The team could be kind of a little streaky, so maybe it would just be good for consistency.
Yeah, I think they're both. You're going to get consistent efforts from them, and I think that might be what, in the end. Well, part of it was external. I was going to say that Taylor Hall, you're not sure if you're going to get that effort every night, but also it sounds like Taylor Hall kind of forced his way onto Boston instead of the Islanders. Like the Buffalo GM said, it's fair to say he had to trade Hall to Buffalo, and Hall had a no trade clause, so he had to waive the right. So screw you, Taylor Hall, for not wanting to be an Islander. And I really hope Boston misses the playoffs now. That would be hilarious.
You sound so bitter. What?
I don't know. It's annoying because it feels like a very old school, like, oh, they're the Islanders. But like, the 2 players just waived their no trade clauses. One of them shaved his beard for the first time since college.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, honestly.
So to me, it's more just like annoying because it's like, all right, that's so 2009, or but I mean, I guess probably more recent than that. We have sucked more recent than 2009.
And I do wonder though if it's just because the Islanders. I mean, I guess I'd have to really think about it, but it's not like Long Island isn't really a city. But you're Boston's a city, New York's a city. Like other big teams.
Panarin did this too. Panarin, so the Islanders offered Panarin more money, and he said, "I want to." Allegedly, he wanted to play in a city. If you play on Long Island, you're and where the arena is, you are a 30-minute train ride from the city. I don't think it's a good excuse.
Maybe they want to take the train. They're superstars, bro.
Then take a car service and get there in an hour. It's nothing. You're like, so for me, it's a very lazy. Just say you want the prestige of playing for the Rangers, even though they've won 1 cup since World War II. So
we got.
I don't know.
Maybe I touched a touchy subject. Anyway,
I don't know. To me, it's a lazy excuse. Also Taylor Hall. What has Taylor Hall done? At least Panarin has done something recently where you go, Artemi Panarin is like an elite player in this league, and is one of the best players in the league. Taylor Hall is just like tumbled down every single year since he won the MVP.
I can't stop you soon enough, bro. I'm trying to move on, and you're like, no, let me dig this hole deeper. I hate Taylor Hall, and I hope he never wins a cup. Again.
I think it's a fair point. Taylor Hall has regressed every single year since he won the MVP, and
you're still not stopping.
So I think he's a coward. All right, that last one was just
maybe a little much. But
yeah.
No, I do know what you mean in terms of
he's going to score the game-winning goal. He's going to knock us out of the playoffs now. It's my fault.
Could you imagine? Oh my God, that would suck. So now we suck against Boston. We are gonna get for the first seat, and then we're gonna play Boston and lose because of Taylor Hall.
We better win these next 2 games because I want to gloat. I really want to gloat that I was right point. And that Taylor Hall is a waste.
That's true. Yeah,
of a player. I'm always gonna draw the distinction that this doesn't mean I think they're a bad person.
Okay, it means most likely are.
I don't think they're a good player. Or I don't think they're as good a player as they think they are. And also that I think their judgment is error-ridden.
I'm going to roll the clip from the trade deadline video where you were like, this trade deadline with Zajac and Palmieri is a 7 out of 10. If it was with Taylor Hall, it would be a 9 out of 10.
This is like a solid 7 out of 10 move. If they had gotten Hall and it cost the same, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. Now, you are correct in one way, because I do think I listed him as the best option.
Yes.
But now he's not ours.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. He doesn't have the training staff and the coaching staff of the Islanders, so he's not. I think I just
get really annoyed. I think what the nerve that it hit for me is the same one that Adam Fox did to get out of the first 2 places that the place he was drafted by and then the place after that. I don't like when players who I don't think have earned it, force a trade. Obviously in Taylor Hall's case, he had to be traded because Buffalo had to get something back for him. But then he also hurt the team on the way out by saying, allegedly the Islanders were offering a 1st-round pick for Hall or Kiefer Bellows. And I think either of that is better than what they got back from the Bruins. So, yeah, I kind of think he weaseled his way out of town and managed to hurt the team on the way out the same way he did by not playing well with them. So I do hold that against him.
Well, 2 things. I suppose you have to look at it as which team Hall thinks, right? Not only where he would like to live, where he might have friends and family and all that stuff, but also where he thinks it has potential, for the rest for the remainder of his career. What is he? Is he even 30 yet, or he's about 30?
Yeah, he's about 30.
So he's reasonably 5 to 10, ideally, right? Years left.
Yeah.
And so it's he might now be he was all right, it would be cool to go to the Islanders for a year or something like that, but I would rather go to a place I would want to sign long term.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and a way to step back for me from what I've been saying is he was the victim of some bad luck. It looks like in Buffalo, in his defense, Buffalo just seems to be a place where things don't work out for players. And what you just said makes a lot of sense as well. The Bruins have a lot of cap space next year, and he probably was looking ahead and going, I don't want another trade. I don't want another
move,
Yeah. So if he had gone to the Islanders, he would have been a pure rental because we weren't going to re-sign him. So he went to a team. So strategically, he went to a team that could re-sign him in the offseason. So you know what? That's fair. I was probably a little bit. A good point. I think I was triggered by, at first glance, that feels like he then is saying Boston has a better chance than the Islanders, and then I would go, oh, but we've beaten them so many times, and I think we're clearly a better team this year. But this is clearly not just a hockey decision. It's also a contract decision.
Yeah.
It's a financial decision. So all that I have said, I think it's good stuff, though. I think it's
good material.
I think I
want anybody who's watching this video to know that's probably the first time I've ever been able to convince Tom of anything. I've ever changed his mind on anything.
I think I was still able to give us the raw annoyance of it, but then also you were able to rein in the reason part where it makes a little. I don't know. When we get close to playoffs, I start to lose it. I really do. True. I really do think that as the closer we get to playoffs, the less fun I have with it. And the more I just get angry.
Yeah, that's interesting. But you know what? Sometimes you need a little bit of anger in your life and stuff,
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, moving on past let's get to our last subject would be the upcoming schedule, and we're going to talk little bit.
We didn't pick hot or not.
Oh, we did want to do that.
We could do like a 2-second version.
Okay, we'll do a quick hot or not. So you go first.
Ready?
You have yours in mind?
Yes.
Okay, go for it.
Hot, Ilya Sorokin. And honorable mention, Ryan Pulock. Even though one goal is not hot, but I have to mention. Not Varley. That game. It's another one where. Oh no, you know what? Josh Bailey, definitely Josh Bailey. He's been invisible. You know, he benefited throughout the year in hot or not by being invisible and not just being bad.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm finally gonna give him.
You're finally putting the nail in the coffin.
I'm finally gonna give him the due.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I would agree with you, except Josh Bailey did do. Actually, I even have a note about it in my notebook. He did the most Josh Bailey thing I feel like he could do on this team this week. So that's why he's my not player. That's why he's not my not player. He's not the not player. Pellich lost his stick during the second Rangers game, and so Bailey, being like the dad that he is, gave him his stick like immediately. Like I didn't realize, it didn't even register that Pelly had lost his stick yet to me.
He's an excellent dad. What can I say?
And was it somebody's stick it wasn't Pellicher's stick, got stuck in the door that opened?
That was Bailey.
That was Bailey. All right. It's negated. He's the not player of the week. All right.
There we go.
Those wires got crossed. Yeah, that's right. So he gave his stick away and then lost his stick in the same game? I think it was the same game. It might have been the first Rangers
maybe he's telling us he doesn't want to play.
Maybe.
Take my stick.
I don't want to
play.
Be a dad, you know?
Yeah. Hey, and he's a great dad.
I wish he was my dad. So anyway, my hot player of the week is Polak, because he's been very consistently good defensively. I don't think he's really, again, no bad defensive plays that I can remember seeing. I'll try and actually write them down in the future, because I feel like I've said that about pretty much most of the defensemen except Mayfield. And so Pulley is the hot player of the week. Bailey is the not player of the week for me.
All right, cool.
All right, so now upcoming schedule and playoff seeding, and just gonna talk a little bit about it. So we have this week. We are recording this on a Tuesday. Spoiler: I can't hide it because the date is circled, so I have to tell them, Tom. And this will go out on Thursday morning. So tonight we have our first game against Boston in a back-to-back at 7 p.m. away. And then we have Philly also away on Sunday. Oh, and then the Rangers. Sorry, that's still this week. So the Rangers will be on Tuesday. So so we have Boston, Philly, Rangers. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen, Tom?
I'm trying to set expectations for it. I think 2 out of 4 would be all right. Probably, for how we've played recently, these would be some good games to kind of assert yourselves again. Because even though it's weird, because it doesn't feel like we've played well, but we've won 5 of 6.
Yeah, it is weird. You're right.
I think now is the time, especially against the Boston team. They have to anticipate Boston coming out angry, though, because Boston has been kind of swept aside by the Islanders this year. And I'm sure they're circling these games and a little bit tired of that. And also Boston, they're a little bit fighting for their playoff lives. It's not dire for them yet, even though they have a lot of injuries to their blue line. But the Rangers are
only 4 points behind them, and their goal differential is way bigger than Boston's. Boston's only +5 right now.
The Rangers, they're a sneaky team. They play us a few more times this year, and they play us well, so you can't rule them out from winning a bunch of those games. And yeah, you can't rule it's funny because when we watched the Ranger game the other night, the first one, with our friend who was a Ranger fan, I kind of was like, if they were in another division, they'd have a shot, but in this division, it's over. But I kind of forgot that Boston has everybody hurt, and my screen died. And the Rangers are playing pretty well. So, sorry, this devolved a little bit, but I expect the Islanders to come out a little bit more prepared because Palmieri and Zajac have had time to get more acquainted through practices. And Maybe a little bit of rust shows up early on the Thursday game, but we're good in back-to-backs typically, so I'd like to get at least 2 points out of that. And then we should beat Philly, and then the Rangers is a toss-up. So, you're looking for like 2 to 3 wins this week.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that because I think Boston, since we've had the 3 days to rest, and I feel like Boston, I would never say it's a guaranteed, I wonder if they kind of look at the Islanders. Boston looks at the Islanders like we were looking at Philly, or sorry, Pittsburgh how we were looking at Pittsburgh, because it was just like no matter what we did or how hard we played, Pittsburgh would still freaking beat us, and so Boston might kind of feel that way right now with us. So I think we only have we have 5 regulation wins against Boston, or like they're all. I don't think any of them went to overtime. Or
I actually have the whole. We have
an
overtime win against them,
okay.
But I don't think we have a shootout win, which means that we haven't. Overtime. We have all of our wins are regulation plus overtime against.
Oh no,
Boston.
we do have a shootout win.
Oh, we do.
March 9th was a shootout win.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the calendar, just trying to do it kind of quickly.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right.
I actually thought they were all regulation, so I was very wrong. But
well, I mean, you're not far. So we have 4 regulation wins against them, I think, and the shootout and 1 OT.
No, we have 1 OT and 1 shootout. So 3 regulation.
Yeah, you're right.
1 shootout, 1 OT.
So
get it right, Tom. All right. I'm not going to invite you back on the show if you keep.
I'm sorry, I got mixed up because we had a game get canceled against them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have that extra game regulation at the end of the season.
Yeah, we have 2 regulation wins against them, and we have 2 extra time wins. Correct?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
But that doesn't make.
Who cares? All right. So anyway,
let's cut. We gotta cut that all out because it makes it look us. We have no idea what's going on.
We have to convince people we know what we're talking about. So, with you, that's not hard because you get very emotional. With me, I'm like, meh. So those are the 2 Boston games. I agree with you on that. Philly, I almost expected to go to overtime. I don't know. We'll see because most of our games have. And then the Rangers. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely a toss-up. Our games have been so almost like to the extremes sometimes, that's like perfect because the first 2 games of the season, we blew them out in the first opening game, and then the next day they blew us out, so it just makes no sense.
Yeah, it's gone back and forth with them this year.
So I think that's it. Anything else you would like to add, Tom? We wanted to briefly address the playoff seeding.
Well, I think we're going to talk about the seeding in a separate video for like the possibilities of who the Islanders are going to play and matching up against them. I guess the last thing I wanted to talk about very quickly is if the playoffs started today, who would you start in goal?
Varley. Start Varley and then just go from there.
Because I think Sorokin has been really closing the gap. But I think for Sorokin to start game 1 of the playoffs, Varley would have to not be really bad, but Sorokin would have to steal the crease with incredible performances. So Varley. I was
thinking the other way. I was thinking Varley would have to maybe let a few goals that probably shouldn't have gone in.
Either way.
More so
either way,
I think no matter how well Sorokin plays, as long as Varley's being as consistent as he is right now, I feel like it'll probably stay Varley as the 1A.
It's probably fair, and like we said, this is a good way to button up the show. Trotz is gonna tend to go with the veteran when given the opportunity, and Sorokin. It's great that Sorokin keeps up the pressure on Varley because it makes Varley have to be better. But I agree with you. I think something drastic would still have to happen for Sorokin to start game 1 of the playoffs.
Yeah. And to me, that's a good problem to have. I feel a little bad for if Varley loses the 1A spot, but I think they're both happy that that the team is doing better. So
and that's an excellent problem to have.
Exactly. And so, with that, we leave you with our moment of Zen.
Pressured by Zajac, Barzell able to pull it out, throws it over, Ryan Pollock steps in, he scores!